who's actually going to benefit from a tiny powerhouse like the HP Elite Mini 800 G9, and who should walk away before they even unbox it. If you're the kind of buyer who worries about buying a computer that sounds impressive on paper but ends up being a disappointment in the real world, you're in the right spot. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to walk through what it feels like to set this thing up in a typical home office, what the day-to-day experience is like, and whether the price makes sense for anyone who isn't a hardcore gamer or a data center engineer. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have with a mini tower is the fear of hidden trade-offs. You see the headline 24-core i9, 32GB DDR5, 2TB SSD, and you start picturing a monster workstation, but then you wonder if the compact case will keep everything cool, if you'll be able to add more storage later, or if the tiny footprint will actually save you desk space without sacrificing performance. That's exactly the kind of buyer intent question I tried to answer by looking at what professionals actually need: reliable multitasking, a quiet office presence, and enough power to run a handful of virtual machines or a demanding spreadsheet model without freezing the whole system. Let's talk about the category for a second. Business mini desktops have been around for a while, but they've traditionally been aimed at entry-level tasks: email, office apps, maybe a light web browser. The Elite Mini 800 G9 tries to push that envelope by stuffing a 14th-gen Intel i9-14900T into a chassis that's roughly the size of a small printer. In practice, that means you get a CPU that can handle 24 threads, which translates into smoother performance when you're juggling multiple heavy applications. Think about a finance analyst who runs 3 separate Bloomberg terminals, a Python IDE, and a couple of Excel workbooks with live data feeds all at once. On a regular desktop that might feel sluggish, but on this mini you'll notice the lag disappear, especially because the DDR5 memory and the 2TB NVMe SSD keep data moving fast. Now, who should actually buy this? If you're a remote professional who needs a machine that can act as a central hub for video conferences, CAD previews, and a few light renders, the Elite Mini fits the bill. Its small footprint means you can slide it under a standing desk or mount it behind a monitor with a Visa bracket, freeing up precious real estate in a cramped home office. The built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth also mean you won't have to hunt for a separate adapter to get stable, high-speed wireless connectivity, which is a real plus when you're on video calls all day. Another sweet spot is small to medium businesses that want a uniform, centrally managed PC for a handful of employees. Windows 11 Pro gives you the group policy and BitLocker features you need without adding extra software costs. On the flip side, there are clear cases where you should skip this one. If you're a gamer who expects high frame rates, you'll be disappointed because there's no dedicated graphics card. The i9-14900T's integrated graphics can handle everyday tasks but will choke on modern 3D titles. Likewise, if you're a video editor who relies on GPU-accelerated encoding, you'll need a separate workstation. The same goes for anyone on a tight budget. The price point for a mini PC with an i9 and 32GB of DDR5 is considerably higher than a regular desktop with a comparable CPU generation. If you're comfortable with a more modest processor and you don't need the ultra-high core count, you'll save a few $100s by looking at the HP EliteDesk 800 series with an i5 or i7 instead. Let's dig into the practical strengths that actually show up after you plug it in. The first thing I noticed was how quiet the unit is. The cooling system uses a single low-profile fan that stays barely audible, even when the CPU is pushed into the higher turbo frequencies during a compile. For anyone who does a lot of Zoom calls, that's a big deal. No background hum to distract your teammates. The next advantage is the storage setup. A 2TB SSD gives you ample room for large project files, virtual machine images, and local backups, all while delivering sub-second boot times. I ran a quick test moving a 15GB folder of raw footage from one directory to another, and the transfer completed in under 30 seconds, which is exactly what you'd expect from a high-end NVMe drive. The DDR5 memory, while not a magic bullet, does make a noticeable difference when you have dozens of tabs open or when you're switching between a heavy IDE and a spreadsheet. the system never feels like it's swapping to disk. There are a few hidden trade-offs you have to weigh. Upgradability is limited. The mini case has a single DIMM slot for the RAM, which means you're stuck with the 32 GB you get out of the box. If you ever need more memory for additional VMs, you'd have to replace the